Hi everyone, welcome. My name is Jessica and I help people transform their lives in positive ways. And for today, what I would like to talk to everyone about in regards to life transformation and making those changes, positive changes, uplifting changes, major transformations, major evolutions of our life experience is not about actually the process itself of making transformation or, ending up at that final end point or that goal. What I'd like to talk to you about today is just simply identifying that it's time to make a change. So, this is where we can sometimes get in our own heads about things and we're second guessing and we're making excuses and we almost sort of talk ourselves out of starting the process of changing our lives because it seems so daunting and so scary. So we're just going to talk about three basic signs that will start popping up, or you'll start noticing them when it's time to make a transformation in your life. Or perhaps not a full transformation, but just to make certain changes to get more in alignment with yourself and the right direction, we'll call it. I don't really like using words right or wrong, good or bad, but for the purpose of this discussion, let's just call the right direction because that's the one that feels right and feels good for us. So, number one is one of the most common, and it's one that really troubles people emotionally, and that's waking up in a state of stress or dread. So, let's say that every day you dread going to work, and that dread just backpedals from arriving at work all the way back to the moment you wake up and start thinking about having to arrive at work. Or, perhaps you are between jobs right now and the dread of just feeling perhaps listless or without a plan, without a path, without a routine or a schedule, okay? So anytime you find yourself waking up for an extended period of time, if you're going through like a normal period of grief or something like that, that's part of that process, and that's not really what we're addressing here. What we're addressing is a consistent pattern over time of just waking up in an altered state where you're not peaceful, you don't feel rejuvenated, you don't feel well rested, you're not excited about the day. You don't just have this general sense of calm, like when you're coming out of that dream state and you sort of transition from dream to waking life. If you are just coming out of a dream state, wanting to go back, wanting to fall back asleep, wanting to stay in bed all day, dreading getting up, running through the full gamut of everything you have to do that day in your mind, you have this mental list that just, as soon as you open your eyes, it starts running. That's what we're talking about. So that is one of the biggest signs that people will notice, because it hits you. It's with you all day. From the second you wake up, you can't really ignore it. And it sort of gnaws at you over time and wears you down, right? And so when you start getting that sign, it's important to feel into it and ask yourself some questions about where might this be coming from? What am I truly dreading? If I'm dreading my job, what is it about my job that I don't enjoy? And you almost just sort of try to approach the emotion of that, approach the feeling and the experience of that with a very curious nature. You look at it, you don't judge it. So it's more about being curious and wanting to understand it. Whereas most people will try to suppress it or distract themselves or just hurry up and get on with their day, get busy with everything so they don't have to feel it. And that's why it gets worse over time. So we're not talking necessarily about solutions, right? This is not the instance for solutions. This is simply noticing that that's a sign and getting curious about what might be prompting that reaction, living that life every day. And it's truly one of the most transformative parts of the process when you can work through it in that way without needing to be reactive or judgmental towards yourself or impatient towards yourself. And we've all been there. I've been there myself as well. There's a tendency to try to figure everything out, analyze everything. You want answers and you want them now. You just want a solution. You want instant transformation. And it's a process sometimes. So, especially when there's emotions involved, it's always going to be a bit of a process. And process oriented transformation or insights is not a bad thing. Sometimes those instant insights we get are like just flashes through our mind and they don't stick. But when we notice this sign of waking up in a state of feeling panic or dread or anxiety, depression, any sort of just low feeling mood, or we'll call them negative emotions, right? Uncomfortable emotions, emotions we don't want to feel. That is a really good sign that it's time to start making some changes and transforming your life, no matter how little those changes are or how slow the transformation itself is. The important thing is just to notice the sign and start. So number 2 is that you may feel lost and directionless. So there's always periods of life where we will feel lost. We sort of have these little intermittent mini identity crises, right? Where we're like, what the heck am I doing in life? I don't know. Where am I going? What do I want? Who am I trying to be? And they kind of pop up and they're not super intense and they just sort of pass and drift away. And what we're talking about here is that just lingering feeling of like you're drifting, right? And you're just kind of drifting around and you don't know, and you're trying this and it's not working, you're trying this and it's not working. And the more lost you feel, the less direction you feel you have, right? Because it's like, I don't even know where to start. I don't even know how to brainstorm anymore. We start second guessing ourselves. That feeling of being lost and being there for some time can sometimes erode at our self-confidence and our self-trust. So if you're feeling lost and directionless, it's important to ground yourself and just become present with yourself and ask the question, if I could feel any way right now that's not lost and directionless, what would I like to feel? What does the opposite of this feeling look like? And when you start reframing that feeling into how you would prefer to feel, what you will find is that solutions will naturally start arriving for you in whatever form. Remember, we don't control the process of that. We simply ask the question, notice the signs in the reverse order, usually. So notice the signs, ask the question, and your solutions will find you. But that is number 2, is if you are feeling lost and directionless, and it's not one of those acute freak out moments in life or something that pops up and you're like, oh no, actually I'm good, I don't know why I was feeling that way. That pervasive sense of feeling lost and directionless, that's a big sign that it's time to start making some changes in your life and taking steps towards transformation. And now number 3 is that you keep getting signs of what I call redirection. So these can be little inconveniences that keep popping up. You keep missing the train. You keep getting caught in traffic when you're always going to the same place. You hit every single red light. You're hitting roadblocks, construction. People are cutting you off constantly on the highway, on the road, wherever. Or, perhaps you are, let's use a different example. So let's say that something very concrete. Let's say that you are trying to purchase a home and everything's going wrong with the inspection. There's delays in the paperwork process. The sellers have some sort of issue that keeps popping up. The timing just can't get right with scheduling with the sellers and you and the attorneys and the brokers and all this stuff, okay? That's one very specific example, perhaps of going in the wrong direction or that not being the path for you. And, when we kind of deconstruct that or expand that out into more of our general life situation, a lot of those same patterns will repeat. So just you will have all kinds of mishaps. You will be, again, numbers 1 and 2, you will wake up constantly with negative emotions, uncomfortable emotions, undesirable emotions. You will feel lost and directionless. There will be obstacles to overcome. Now, this is not to be confused with healthy obstacles that are making you, I should say, conditioning you into your new self. So when we start growing our lives, our world, ourselves, our personality, our life experience, there can be obstacles and challenges that arise with that, but they are always directly correlative to the change we're making, and they help make us better. They help make us stronger, and they pose a challenge that takes us to the next level. The obstacles and challenges we're talking about here today are the ones that are detrimental, and they seem to be holding up a big flashing stop sign, and these are, warning signs that wrong direction. We'll say you're in the wrong lane in this regard, and what you're headed towards, what you're pursuing, or the life you've been living perhaps is not working for you any longer, and it's time to make positive change. So these are just some 3 really basic signs that will pop up. Let's recap them really quick. So number 1 is you wake up in a state of stress, dread, negative emotion, low feelings, just experiencing an emotional state you don't enjoy. 2 is you feel lost and directionless, feel like you're drifting about, not really sure what to do. You got all that brain fog going on. Things are very unclear for you. And number 3 is that you keep getting signs of redirection, trying to move you in a different path, trying to push you in a different direction, making you so uncomfortable where you are, right, that you eventually have no choice but to change, no choice but to change directions, no choice but to shift or alter in some way to step into this new life that's trying to unfold for you. So again, 3 very basic elementary signs, but I hope that this is helpful for you. I will have more content coming on some steps we can take to shift out of these uncomfortable situations, feelings, circumstances. That will be forthcoming, but you guys, I hope that you notice these signs, you don't write them off, you take yourself seriously, you support yourself as you're identifying these, whether you write them out, whether you just make a mental note. It's really important to validate ourselves in the process, especially early on, and know that, when these things happen, we feel these things, there's nothing wrong with us, okay? It's not a problem with us. It's simply we are ready for the next level, and these negative occurrences or feelings, situations, signs, these are really helping us see how we don't want to feel, see what we don't want to experience, and help us get clarity on the direction that we want to move and feelings we want to feel, adventures and experiences we want to have, contributions we want to make. And just generally where we have an opportunity to begin making that pivot. So it doesn't have to be drastic. It doesn't have to be forced by life or the universe upon us. We have the opportunity when we start seeing these signs to make healthy pivots for ourselves of our own volition, trusting ourselves in starting to take those steps and make those changes. So hope this was helpful. Stay tuned for more information on working through these signs and some changes you can make, little habits you can adopt to, not just cope with these signs, but actually to transform that energy and transform the situations into something positive that can grow into that wonderful life transformation that you are either consciously trying to make or that's trying to unfold in your life. So don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you all next time. Bye.